Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's tutorial will be on this beautiful bubble gown, and I am making making use of 2 years of fabric, my measurements, my marking material, this is my chalk, my scissors, and this 1 yard of elastic band. So this elastic band is 1 yard, and if you are bigger than 16 UK size 16, please do want to make use of 2.5 years, because this 2 years was quite difficult to manage, but we did it. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do wait to hit on subscribe button, join the family. So I'll be folding from the yardage of my fabric. So my length is 16 inches, and this fabric is a crepe fabric, and it's also 16 inches length. So I don't have any reason to worry about the length. So I folded from the 2 yards of fabric into two, and I'll go ahead and fold over again, making it four. So I'll be cutting the back and the front bodies together. So once you fold it into four, you have about 18 inches in total. So I went ahead to fold it properly and then use my pin to secure it so that it doesn't keep moving up and down. And then the first thing I did is to mark a starting point that will serve, that we are going to be adding our shoulder allowance there. And then I went ahead to mark my neck width, which is 4 inches. And then for the neck depth, I am using 8 inches. I marked at 6 inches earlier, but I noticed that it won't be okay for me, so I did 8 inches. But if you don't want it to be like too wide, I would advise you do like 7 inches or 6 inches. So that's what I have there. Then I connected it for a V neckline. And the next thing we are going to be doing is to mark our shoulder measurement divided by 2. And then from there, I'm going to mark the sleeve, my sleeve length. So I'll just use the remaining of my fabric for my sleeve length. If you want yours to be longer than this, that means you have to be using about 2.5 years or 3 years. Then I went down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope, and then I'll go ahead and connect it into my neckline. Once we are done with that, from that 1 inch you went down with, I'm going to go ahead and mark my sleeve opening. For this, I am using 10 inches because I don't want it to be fitted. So I'll mark 10 inches, and then I'll connect this line straight up to meet the folded part of this fabric. And then at that point, I'm going to go ahead and take my bust measurement divided by 4. I'll make a mark there, and then I'll add 2 inches allowance to it. If you're going to be stitching with more than half of an inch, please do where to increase. You can add 1 inch, 3 inches or more to it. Then the next thing I'm going to be doing is to place my tape from the starting point, and then I'll go ahead and mark my waist measurement. Mine is 17 inches. Once I am done with that, I'll go ahead and insert my hip measurement at 25 inches. And then the full length of this gown, which is the full length of the fabric, right? So once I am done with that, I'm going to go ahead and take my waist measurement divided by 4. I'll make a mark there, and I'll also add 2 inches stitching allowance to it. I'll be using ½ inch to stitch this down. If you want to use more than ½ inch, please do where to increase your measurement. So the 1.5 inches is for ease, and if you want it to be like overly big, please do where to add more allowance for ease as well. And I repeated the same process for my hip line. Then I'm go ahead and connect this point. So if I will connect from hip all the way down, but when I want to cut it, you see how I cut out towards the hem part of it. Then I'll go ahead and connect my armhole. You can see the way I connected it, because I want it to be kind of free at that armhole area. By the time I put it on, you'll see how it comes out. So this is it, and then the next thing I'm going to be doing is to add ½ inch stitching allowance at the shoulder line, so that I'll be using it to stitch down the shoulder. Then for the neckline, I almost forgot the back neckline. I went down by 1 inch, and then I'll go ahead and connect it into the neck width. And that's basically all for the cutting of this style. Don't forget to please give me a follow and be subscribed to my channel. Share my videos to family and friends. Give me a thumbs up if you find value on this. So you can see, as I am cutting this, I extended my hand outward towards the outward as I was going down to the hem of this fabric. So that's what I was trying to say. And then I went down. I went ahead to cut out my neckline. So for the bow of this tie, I have my fabric folded into two. So for the width of this, I have 14 inches, and then for the other side I have 11.5 inches. Remember, my fabric is on fold. And then I have this one. This is going to serve as that long strap of fabric on the style. So this have my fabric folded into two, so I'll be dividing this fabric into three. That but at this point it's into two, and the length is about 26 inches, so I'll be dividing it into three. And then the width of it, I have about 5 inches for the width, so I'll fold it into two. Once you fold it into two, it will you have 2.5 inches on fold. I hope you get it. So I'll go ahead and stitch down from here to the end, and then stitch all the way to the other side, and then I'll turn it to the right side. So this is a piece of fabric I'll be using to close up this the bow. I'll stitch it down on the side, and also for the bow I'll stitch this way, then I'll leave some allowance to turn it to the right side, and then I'll stitch the other part of the bow. So guys, for the facing of this gown, I'm running out of fabric. Just like I said, if you're on the bigger side, please do well to use more than 2 yards. So I folded the fabric into two, and then I'll bring the front neckline. I'm going to go ahead and place it on this fabric that I just folded, making sure the folded part of this gown matches the folded part of this fabric that I just folded. Then I'll go ahead and cut out my facing for this. So I'll go ahead and cut out the neckline, and then I'll extend the facing as much as you can. It doesn't have any measurement, just do what works for you. And as I said, I am trying to manage this fabric, so I'm not going to have a lot of fabric under it. So guys, this is what you have at this point. So I'll go ahead and cut out this. So this is our facing for the front part, and I'll repeat the same process for the back. I'll repeat the same process for the back. So I'll go ahead and open up these front bodies, and then I'll go ahead and place the facing on the right side of this gown, and then I'll go ahead and stitch down all the way from the shoulder to this end, and then to the other side of the shoulder. So for the bow, I'm done stitching it down, so I'll go ahead and gather it at the center, and all at the center, and then I'll use that small fabric that we have to close up that gathered area, so that the thread won't be showing, it won't show. And then I'll stitch it down at the back and turn it to the right side. So guys, for the rope on this style, so I'll place my fabric. You see the way I placed it, and then I'll go ahead and stitch all the way from the shoulder to about under my bust. And then for the neckline, I'm done stitching it down, and then so I go ahead to hem the, oh my goodness, hem the facing. So I'm just trying to make a notch at that area so that it's easier for me to turn to the right side. So I'll go ahead and turn it to the right side, and then for the back one, I'll also repeat the same process, and then I'll be using my hemming gum to hold down the facing. So I'll go ahead and also, so you can see this fabric here, I'm done stitching it down as well. So that's what I was trying to explain earlier. So guys, once you are done with the front part, I'll go ahead and also I'm all done stitching the back one as well. So I'll go ahead and make notches at the neckline, and also turn it to the right side. I'll use my hemming gum to hold down the facing as well. So guys, once we are done with that, I'll go ahead and place the shoulder mesh to shoulder front facing front. I'll place it, making sure the two seam side matches each other, and I'll use one facing to close up the other, the neckline, and then I'll stitch down by half of an inch all the way from the beginning of the shoulder to the end of the eight, and I'll do the same thing for the other shoulder. So guys, this is what we have at this point. I also went ahead to hem the shoulder area, and I'll go ahead and cut out the excess here so that it doesn't cause any bulge at that neckline. And I also went ahead to hem to serge the I also went ahead to hem the sleeve, so I'll just fold it in by half of an inch. And then if you don't have a serging machine, you can just go ahead and fold it into two. That's fold the first one, and then fold over the second one and stitch it down all the way through, and also for the other sleeve as well. So this is the fabric I'll be using for the snatch, the belt at the back of this style. So what you have here is your waist divided by 2 plus about 5 inches. So I'll fold it into two and stitch down, and then I'll turn it into to the right side. So the width of it is about 2.5 inches. So once I was done with that, I went ahead to insert my elastic band. So this elastic band is the quarter of my waist measurement. So guys, this is what we have at this point. I am yet to hem the sleeve, to fold the sleeve by half of an inch, but let's just work on the belt, and then I'll do every other thing as I get to my machine. So for this belt, I'll measure from my shoulder to 16 inches. The reason why I'm using 16 inches instead of 17 inches is because I still have mommy pouch, so I do not want it to snatch at my lower belly. In fact, I'm thinking of changing it to 15 inches because it seems like it's lower than what I want it to be. So I'll place this at that. You can see the way I placed it. I'll pin it down, and I'll repeat the same process for the other side. I'll measure 16 inches from the shoulder, and then I'll make a mark there, and I'll go ahead and pin down the belt. I'm sorry for the noise. It's raining and I'm screaming at the top of my voice so that you guys can hear me. So I'll make the mark of 16 inches, and then I'll drag the belt from the other side, and then I'll place it at that 16 inches and pin it down. So guys, once we are done with that, I'll then go ahead and close it up with the front bodies. I'll close. So this is what we have. By the time is, you don't want it to be very tight so that it doesn't affect you, or if you want it to be very tight, just do what works for you. So I'll go ahead and close up with the front bodies, and then I'll go ahead and stitch down. Remember I said I'll be stitching down by half of an inch. I'll stitch down all the way to the end, to where to all the way to the hem. But for me, I want it to have a slit at the hem, at the lower side. So from the hem part of this gown, I'm going to measure up by 19 inches. I'll make a mark there, so that's where my stitch is going to stop. That is just at my hip, at my knee area. So I'll go ahead and do the same thing for my other knee. So this is my bow. I'm done with it. You can see how pretty it is. And this other fabric, remember I said I'll be sharing it into three, so this is the other part. So I'm just trying to make sure that the same length. So I'll go ahead and stitch it at that place that I have it to be the same length with the other one, and then I'm going to go ahead and attach the bow on top of that same place that I attached it. So I'm just trying to use my pin to hold this down so that it doesn't keep moving around. And then I'll go ahead and stitch it down, and then I'll place my bow on that same place so that by the time I stitch this down, this bow is going to close up that stitch, and that's where I'm going to attach my bow as well. At this point I've not attached or pressed down my facing with my hemming gum, so I'm just trying to use my pin to hold it down so that we'll arrange our bow how we want it to be. So you just play around with the bow. There's no particular way to do this, but I want mine to face towards my front neckline. So I'll go ahead and pin down all these places, and then I'll go ahead and stitch it down with my hand needle, or you can just use your hot glue and do it. So I've done hemming the sleeve. The next thing I'm going to be doing is to hem the slit that we left. You can do more than 19 inches. In fact, I would have done more than 19 inches for this slit. So I'll go ahead and stitch it down by half an inch, and also hem the gown as well. And that's it for this style. I hope you find value. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, share my videos, and subscribe.